66th annual PGA merchandise show, and I'm here with a really good friend, fellow PGA professional, former North Florida member, Charlie Fisher.
John, nice to see you.
It's been a long time. Golf Pride's a grip I've always used. There was a little bit of time I went astray. I came back for a lot of good reasons. But Golf Pride's the industry standard, and the vast majority of the clients I see have Golf Pride on their clubs. And to me, that made a world of difference from a partnering standpoint of view. What makes, even though you guys are the industry standard per se, what makes you guys special?
Well, I'll tell you, everything that we end up doing, it's really based on the performance of the player. I mean, we're not designing grips to just design grips, to have a just different pattern on them. There's really purpose behind what we do. So in the tour, we have over 80% of the guys on the PGA Tour playing our stuff. And actually this year in 2018, or last year, 2018, the count was 86% of the guys on tour play our product. And none of them are paid to do so. So that's a huge element. But also with that, we have access to all the tour trucks, the build profiles that all the players are using, from the Callaway truck, the Titleist, the TaylorMade, the Ping, Mizuno. All of those guys actually give us the player profiles. This guy likes extra buildup in the bottom half, or they like it this way. This player's playing a rib. So we have all access to that, and that helps us in developing product. And it's funny, you were talking about your consumers that actually come to you playing. Most of them may not even know that they're playing a Golf Pride grip, because we have such good partnerships with the OEM guys too. Right. A lot of them don't even say Golf Pride on them.
So from a consumer side, yeah, they watch the tour, they see the guys. Tiger turns his around so he doesn't do whatever for you. But how does that relate to the consumer? Because a lot of people I talk to, when I tell them that, well, there's a disconnect.
Right.
How does a consumer fall into that?
Into, like, in regards to?
Well, from all the research and all the things you do from a tour level, what's the benefit down to the average consumer?
Well, understanding that the average tour player is regripping their clubs every 6 weeks. I mean, that's about the average time frame that it takes.
People don't know that.
No, and it's crazy when you think about like the amount of consumers that probably have either never regripped, and at least from our count, about 40 to 50% of the consumers, the avid golfer, probably the 7 or 8 million avid golfers out there, they, only 40 or 50% of them are regripping once a year. So like, there's a huge opportunity for golfers to continue to get better. It's funny because like, Golf Pride, we do a lot of research that we don't even publish yet, right? And so we were just, whether from a stroke perspective or even from a distance perspective, and trying to understand like what happens when you regrip? What happens when you hit a golf ball, taking the same club with an old grip and putting a fresh grip on it? Like, what does it actually do for the player? And it's crazy. The actual TrackMan data shows, that it's the player's picking up an average of 4 yards with a 6-iron. And an average of 7 yards with a driver. And that's crazy to think about with a fresh grip.
So what we're talking about here at 2.5 miles an hour, I'm sorry, at 2.5 yards, 3 yards per mile an hour, what you're basically saying is, in theory, and I don't want to go too overboard, with a new grip, you're going to pick up grip speed, or swing speed, rather?
Freedom.
Freedom from what?
Well, freedom from tension. I mean, you think about it. If I was to give you something that's slick and you're trying to hold on to it, you're going to grip it tighter, right? So you have something that's fresh and it actually grips you back. You just have the ability to just hold on and swing it.
So you, and it is, it's a very competitive world you're in, and you said, hey, that you do a lot of research.
Right.
Without giving away the farm, without giving away that, how does some of that research beyond just the regripping affect a consumer from maybe there's a particular style of grip or a particular size of grip, or just something that is more consumer-based? How does that trickle down?
You try to understand, a couple of the different things. I mean, when we hear things like different materials, I mean, so how does it trickle down in terms of different material preferences in terms of the way the grips are made? Some guys like tacky grips, some guys prefer cord grips, and a lot of it depends on the conditions they play in. Here in Florida, obviously, they're going to need something that's got more cord in it, something that's like that. The better players tend to prefer cord because it's a firmer material and actually gives them more feedback. Crazy enough, Freddie Couples just put on the CP2 wrap onto his grip, and here he is, like one of the best players of all time, and he's playing a grip that is probably more popular with consumers than it is with tour players. Whereas most tour players are going to play the Tour Velvet cord and the Tour Velvet, just the standard Tour Velvet rubber, because they do give the most feedback and they are the most, they give most responsive. So
getting into one of the research things that you guys have done in the past couple of years that, and I've been quoted, it's a no-brainer, is this line, the Align. Right. What makes this different from the previous rib grip that everybody my age and older was accustomed to?
Well, it's crazy. Most people didn't even know they were playing because they just came stock onto most OEM clubs. Then we got into the adjustable heads and just all the other elements of, the shaft made, changed from its original position. And so we shifted out of it. And then what happened was like, stores would order a rib grip, and then you couldn't tell it apart, right? So you would have a rib grip sitting on a shelf, and the guy in the pro shop may come and grab it thinking it's a round grip, throw it on his clubs, and you can't tell it. So people forgot about the rib grip. Over 30% of the guys on the PGA Tour play a rib grip. And you think about it, when somebody comes to you for a lesson, where do you start? You start with the grip, and you're trying to get them to consistently place their hands on the club every time. It's the same reason that tour players play a rib grip. They don't have to think about it. It's one less thing. They literally pick the grip up, they pick the club up, and it fits. It's just like immediate sensation. They can find where that club's going to fit in their hand. And that's why. So how do we remind people about this, but then make it better, right? So not only do we have a rib grip, we've always had rib grips, but how do we make the rib better? Is we added, and you're holding that there, but this Align texture on the back, it's actually a firmer material. It's got texture on the back, and then the ridges that run alongside of it allow, when the grip is actually installed for we call them like flex ridges, when the grip's installed, it actually pushes out this red strip even more, exposing the side and the texture and everything else, so you can feel it even more. Now, it falls within the limits of the USGA at a 40th of an inch, but with that said, you're going to feel a rib like you've never felt it before. And so that's where we continue to expand this line from multi-compound and +4 multi-compound, which we did. That was our initial launch.
Right.
Last year, we launched it in the Tour Velvet line, which the Tour Velvet's the most popular grip played on tour, to the Z Corda line. So now we have everything from a rubber grip, a hybrid grip, to a full core grip covered with the Align technology. So Jamie Lovemark actually just put this into play 2 weeks ago, and it's crazy. We've never come to the PGA show with a product out on tour before we come to the PGA show, right. And now it's already in play, and that's never happened before for Golf Pride.
So one of the things you helped me with early on, and this is sort of another personal story about Golf Pride. I came to you a while ago saying I needed to do something different. I wanted to experiment with bigger grips.
Right.
Found some things out about bigger grips, but the bottom line was comfort and feel and not having too much tension.
Right.
It was through Charlie that I was able to help my father, who has Parkinson's, and I do a lot here locally of Parkinson's. Tell us about the bigger grip with tension as it relates to what you guys have found beyond what I've talked about with you.
Sure.
And what are the direct correlations? We see it in fat putter grips, and obviously it's a softer, less tense grip pressure.
That's right.
You alluded to before. What are some of the other nuances that players, consumers are coming back to you with that? Because I think there's a lot of value to it. But when I speak to someone, they're still of the old mindset, the old stereotype, oh, fat grip's not going to allow me to release the golf club, or fat grip's not going to allow me to feel what's going on. I think it's quite the contrary.
Well, it's crazy. I mean, when you think about the number of tour players that actually, like 90% of those guys are building up their grips. 90% are putting some sort of larger profile on their clubs. So there's a reason for that. Second, if you were to look at from a retail, green grass, distribution, all levels of sales for us, 60% of our sales come from an oversized grip. So that includes midsize and jumbo. 60% of our sales. And so it's like the same sort of thing. There isn't like this, there's a standard that goes on standard clubs, the same way there's like a small, medium, and large, right? But that's kind of the standard, more or less. And the more that guys are working harder on their games, they're working with you on their golf game to understand, hey, why might this be happening? What could a larger grip actually help me do in my swing that maybe I can't do? Maybe I've got too much wrist flexion, and maybe I need something that's going to help me get into a different position. That's where PGA Professional is helping with that too.
So along that line, and I'm always about win-win. I've always talked to you about that. I want it to be a win-win for me, but also for
Absolutely.
Golf Pride. What is it that coaches, instructors can do, not only for a win-win for their clients, but if they're loyal to a brand like I am to Golf Pride, what helps Golf Pride succeed? What can I do? What message can I share to my brethren in the leadership position I'm in that would help you out?
Well, I'll tell you, John, I mean, I feel like you do it in the sense of, you know, you work with some really good partners, and you make it a huge part to make sure that they're recognized. But I think the biggest thing, I mean, you can look at regripping as two levels. A, as a profit center for your facility, right? You can look at it and say, hey, whether it's you or whether it's an assistant or somebody else, helping your assistant make some extra income, but then also so from a profit center standpoint, but then also from a service level standpoint. And we've got more tools on that side of the wall that are free for green grass shops and golf professionals to log on and get, whether it's wall displays, counter displays. That's right, whatever fits into your facility, we've got something to help fit and to help expose, regripping different, all the newest and latest from Golf Pride there. But, I mean, it's coming to the PGA show and having these type of conversations like we do, whether it's an email back and forth or you've been great to participate in a lot of our consumer testing, just to more or less give us feedback. Like before a product even launches, you're there giving us feedback, and when we call, you always answer. And so that's the biggest way. And look at it, from our standpoint, we want to help the golf professional. Like that's it. People show up at the golf course to play golf. They have to go out of their way to get stuff, other places. They're showing up at your facility to get a lesson. Give them that service, and then it is the win-win for you too, that they came to you, you're the expert, you solidified that. So,
finally, what do you see? I mean, products evolve, niche industries within the golf industry evolve. Where do you see grips going? It's very competitive like it is here for me. Where is grip technology going? Where are we going with this? What can I tell my consumers, my clients, not only to re-grip, which I tell them all the time. That's the first thing I do is inspect the club. Wow, if you re-grip, this may make a difference.
Sure.
As you alluded to before, but where are we going? What can we look for in the future?
Well, I'll tell you, I mean, whether it's bringing the Align back, and this is something we were talking about, kind of some of the information and things that like Golf Pride's done from a research perspective. We did a test, club to club, round versus rib. And again, the majority of the market's playing, and even players on tour, even still, 60% of them are playing a round grip. But in our testing, we found that the rib grip, when applied to the exact same club as a round grip, you're actually getting it closer to the target line because you can actually feel where the club head is at all times, right?
Wow.
With the driver, it's 7 yards closer to the target line, whereas a round grip, the lean was a little bit to the right. With an iron, it was 4 yards. So you think in terms of 4 yards with a 6 iron, you're hitting 160 yards into a par 4. How much closer is that? And you 4 feet, 12 feet, 15 feet over time.
That's the difference
that's significant.
between being in a hazard versus being on dry land.
That's
with
it.
A tough pin.
So it's that. And then also you add things like the +4 material technology. I mean, it's not just about throwing flashy colors on and stuff like that. It's about what type, all the different conditions that are out there to play in. That's a huge part that we're constantly investing in. I mean, we're building a brand new facility, John, up in Pinehurst. You're from the Carolinas. This facility is second to none. We're literally bringing our R&D facility and just our sales and marketing and our R&D guys, all these different, this brainchild, bringing everybody together, really to kind of speed the innovation process along. And it's more. I mean, you see this in the products that we're developing. We're not just coming out with something new every year. We're building upon the Align technology. We're building upon the +4 technology, CP2 family, putter grip technology. Like, we don't just come out with a new product and throw it's going to do this or it's going to do that. There's we're building families because there's the proof behind the pudding. But we're excited. Installation, that's another part. How can we make that easier for the golf professional? It takes time. It takes about 30 minutes to really properly re-grip a set, rip the old tape off and put on new tape. How can we make it easier? How can we make it easier for consumers? That's really it. We're continuing to dive into that and keep it fun.
So I want to offer first my thanks. I cannot thank this gentleman enough. When I needed something to go with, that little bit of extra energy, for some reason, somehow, your name would pop up in an email or in a voicemail, and literally calling you back or emailing you back, it was that little swift kick in the butt I needed at that particular moment. I really want to thank you.
Thanks, John.
I miss you being in Tampa. I will definitely visit you up there.
Please do.
And I want to say thanks for everything else that Golf Pride's done for me. If there's anything I can do for you guys, by all means, let me know.
John, thank you. You're part of the Golf Pride family. We appreciate you. And You know, just thanks for always taking my call and calling me back. That's the biggest part. Not everybody will return your call, and it's funny. I remember the first time you called me back, and I remember thinking I'd see your name in different teaching stuff, being a golf professional myself, and different elements. John Hughes is calling me back. You know, like that means something to me. So I hope you know that.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.